Hello, everybody, and welcome to Fontana, California for race number 7 of 18. It is round 2 of the in-season tournament. We're at Auto Club Speedway for the Auto Club 400, and it is set to be a thrilling race, 50 laps under the lights, and we're alongside Dominic Anthony here in the booth. Dominic, you had a great race last week. How are you doing here tonight?
I'm doing great. Like you said, was in the car last week at Charlotte, got a pretty good run with a 12th place finish, and I'm excited to be back up here because it's been since the duels that I've been in the booth.
Absolutely. Well, last week was quite the race. Ethan Harrison set the tone early with an early incident that took out a lot of contenders, set some people rolling, but it was Garrett Lamar led the most amount of laps, 71 out of 100 laps led, but that wasn't it. I mean, you lead the most amount of laps, that doesn't mean you win the race. It was Christopher Marnell, back-to-back wins, has now won both of the races he has won with late race passes. Marnell has opened up his points lead. The 23 has won at Watkins Glen, won at Charlotte, and now looks to enter the in-season tournament as the number 1 seed. Here are the bracket challenges. Here are the people that's going to face off against each other. A lot of people that will be facing off against each other. A lot of interesting matchups here today. 16 of them, in fact. We have 32 drivers, but only 16 will move on to the next race at Iowa. So it's going to be 50 laps here. Going to be very interesting. Round 2. Going to see a lot of upsets, maybe, hopefully. We'll see. But Dominic, what are our keys to the race? What are some things we're going to have to look out for?
Yeah, so we have 50 laps here at this 2-mile track. It's a 14-degree banking in the corners, very rough old surface. It's going to be super tough on tires. It's an 18 to 21 lap fuel run, but you're probably going to want tires before that if cautions come out in a shorter increment than 18 to 21 laps. Restarts are going to be crazy. You're going to be 5, 6, 7, 8 wide on the restarts. And as you just highlighted, we have the round of 32 for the in-season tournament. So that'll be something to watch in addition to the actual on-track battles.
Absolutely. And as we saw last year, we have a big bump in turn 4. So that's going to be something that these drivers are going to have to keep an eye on. It's on the lower part of the groove. So, but yeah, it's going to be a great race. Should be a fun one. Dominic, excited to have you back in the booth. It's been a long time coming. But yeah, it's going to be a good one. And let's hop into our starting lineup for today. Row number 1 has Aaron Giffen starting on the pole in his home race alongside Garrett Lamar. Row 2, Santiago Nicholas and Riley Gorse. Row 3, Chris Lilly and Joe Kraus make up that third row. Row 4, Kyle Mabey and Matthew Fastnot. Row 5, Zachary Ponce, Tyler Cook. Row number 6 is going to move forwards and see Brayson Collins, after missing the race last week, a good qualifying run, and Logan Williams, last year's winner. Row 7, Ethan Harrison and Reed Simpson. Row 8 sees Desquarius Greenhouse Jr. and Quinton Haley. Cars pulling away now. We're going to get set for this one pace lap. Henry Guo, Eris Yuko in row 9. Row 10 sees Michael Guthrie and Blake Walker. Row 11, Alexander Rowe and Ricardo Garcia. Row number 12 is going to have Richard Fridge and Ryan Barone. Row 13, Christian Viscani and Sean McKean in that 13th row. Row 14, Jordan Madron and Chase Gibbons. Row 15, Ian McDaniel and Christopher Marnell, starting a little bit far back after winning the last 2 races, going to have some work to do. Row 16, Strokey Banger and Carson Green. Jerry Chen, Jeremy Mead make up row 17. Row 18 moves forwards to Robbie Gordoff and Kaz Gralla, the row of 3s. Anthony Foss, Justin Haley in row 19. Row number 20 is going to have Stephen Cullen and Braden Sigafus. And rounding out today's field, Nathan Stapleton and Cam Arrow. 50 laps, 2-mile track. Dominic, any final words before we get set and underway for today's race?
Yeah, I'll be watching Christopher Marnell today. As you mentioned, he's on a winning streak of 2 races, but he starts deep in the field today, so it'll be interesting to see if he can work his way through and claim a 3rd win in the row.
Absolutely. He's going to have his work cut out for him as green flag is off and underway. Aaron Giffen spun the tires on the start. Garrett Lamar, the driver who led 71 laps last week, leads him to turn 1. The field
Looks like
is.
the.
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, the field is all bunched up here. We're 3, 4, 5 wide throughout the field.
Yeah, I was just gonna say the second car on the outside there, Riley Gorse, has already cleared our front row starter there, Aaron Giffen. So maybe something to watch if there's a late restart to the outside. Seems to be the better lane so far.
Absolutely. As the 26 of Joe Kraus, he finished second here at the Coke 600 last weekend. Already a yellow. Oh, big crash on the back straightaway. Got a few of them around. Just Jordan Madron, Sean McKean, and a few others. Michael Guthrie, Ricardo Garcia. And the yellow is already out on lap 2 of 50.
Yeah, and this is already going to have some implications for the in-season tournament. You're going to be able to pencil in some results already.
As Gorse had the lead out of turn 4, Lamar snatched his chain back and took the lead here on lap 3 of 50. Dominic, let's take a look at this replay.
Yeah, as we mentioned, 5 wide there, and looks like they just run out of space. Whoever that was underneath Madron just kind of pushed him up a little bit.
It appears that was the 84 of Strokey Banger in the Mopar machine, and that's going to damage the 68 as he's got. It looks like he doesn't have too much damage, but this 41 really took a lick. Let's take on board.
Man, a really hard hit into the back of McKean there. I was going to say that's pretty catastrophic damage on the 41. I would expect him to be done for the day. Not sure about anyone else.
Here's another look at it. Oh, hard into the wall. That was a bit harder than I thought it was for Madron. He kind of just noses in head on, and not a lot of safer barrier there on the back straightaway. You're going about 180, 190, even on corner exit here. And I can't imagine that's a soft impact.
Yeah, and in terms of the in-season tournament, the biggest battles that we're looking at there would be Michael Guthrie versus Jerry Chen and Jordan Madron versus Ian McDaniel. Obviously, things can still happen, and Chen and McDaniel can get in accidents as well. And maybe if Guthrie and Madron can stay in the race here, then they still have a chance. But obviously, pretty skewed in one direction early on here.
Looks like we have people taking 2 tires, right side tires. It looked like the 16 and the 4 took gas only. That may be a very interesting strategy call as we see a few different people, the lineup getting shuffled here. No tires is a very odd call from Simpson and the 16, but I'm here for it. Lamar is going to restart 3rd. And Dominic, update from the pit boxes. Garcia immediately took his car to the garage, and Jordan Madron, his car is still sitting there, but it looks like they may be wheeling it back to the garage and calling it a day.
Interesting. No surprises there. That was a pretty hard crash. And as we talked about in pre-race with the track really eating tires, it's very interesting to see 2 people stay out, but it was only about a 2-lap green flag run. So if you're going to experiment like this, now is the time to do it. But if you can't hold on here, then you're not going to be able to hold on old tires at any point in the race.
Green flag is out. We're underway. Reed Simpson has had somewhat of a resurgence this year after last season, really just trying to keep it clean, trying not to have many wrecks, but he blocks all the way down to the white line as the 16 really trying to make something work here. As the field flies by Lamar, pushing Zachary Ponce to the new leader, Zachary Ponce, but the former leader, Garrett Lamar, is hungry, chomping at the bit, trying to avoid that bump in turn 4. And Reed Simpson goes top to bottom now. He's contending for the lead. And don't forget Riley Gorse. He's sitting there in 4th.
Yeah, Riley Gorse is driving that 60 car, which, if you remember back to last season, Hunter Collier actually almost won this race. Came down to the last lap between him and Logan Williams. So Mo's Motorsports has a history of bringing speed to this track. We see Zachary Ponce up here in second on old tires, and Riley Gorse, who was leading before that caution.
Big run from Garrett Lamar and Zachary Ponce as the 13 makes a move back to the lead. Zachary Ponce is going to take the run off of turn 4, and he's going to extend that gap. Look at that gap he's got on the field. But I think we see kind of a yo-yo effect here. It's not like the leaders, although this seems to be the furthest lead we've had all day. But I don't think the leader really has that big of an advantage. I don't think we'll see that many people really stretch their lead as Kyle Maybe has moved into third place. Brayson Collins emerging into the top 5. Look at him after missing Charlotte, looking for a great run here today. Any points are better than no points, but that 5 car is up in this top 10.
Yeah, Kyle Maybe looking to show his face at the front here too. He won earlier this season at Atlanta, which is another high speed, high tire wear track. So maybe he can apply something from that weekend to bring another win out here, as we're on board with Alexander Rowe, who's actually pretty deep in the field. Normally the DAF racing cars have pretty strong speed at the intermediates like this, but they all started outside the top 10. So it'll be interesting to see if my guys can work their way forward here.
Currently in 20th on the Alexander Rowe machine, as that's a big run out of the 84. Jerry Chen, you and Jerry had a little bit of a incident last weekend. Have you guys talked it through, or was it kind of just a racing deal that you guys are not really discussing?
Yeah, we talked about it. Obviously, it was definitely an error on my part to take him out there, and also get a few other guys caught up in it. But we've talked about it, and we're all good. Maybe we'll be back in the booth together at some point later this season.
Hopefully so. I mean, you two definitely have the chemistry. Jerry Chen sitting here in this 20th place spot, roughly, trying to work his way forwards. Been a little bit of a growing pains for Jerry here at Astolfo Motorsports. But it seems like he's been finding some speed here and there. Riley Gorse slipping back a little bit. It's Tyler Cook on the charge, and Garrett Lamar making a move for the lead. He passes the 16 with ease through turns 1 and 2, as we were talking about other drivers. And here's a 3-wide battle for about 5th place.
Yeah, and Garrett Lamar just has to be getting flashbacks to last week at this point, taking the lead early, seemingly having the dominant car. So I'm sure he'll do anything in his power to not replicate the outcome of last week, but he's looking to have speed again.
And I would say it would probably be a little bit more horror filled, as we've got a big gaggle around here for looks like 22nd. It would be a more horror filled, I'd say, if he hadn't have won at North Wilkesboro, but he was able to get the win at North Wilkesboro. Obviously, losing a crown jewel stings for sure, but now it's all about trying to find pace, trying to find rhythm, and Garrett Lamar out front. This shows that he has speed, and I think a win here today would be great for that team to bounce back, but still a lot of race to go as Robbie Gordoff goes top to bottom to try and get around Cam Arrow in the 7-Eleven machine. We're 5 wide with Justin Haley at the top and a few others not even sorted out on the backstretch. We get to 3 wide as Quentin Haley goes top to bottom. I mean, this middle pack of the group here, Dominic, they're just all holds barred. They're just going at it here.
Yeah, that's normally how it goes in the mid pack, because everyone thinks that they can break out of the mid pack and get up to that top 10. Everyone's driving their nuts off. And you mentioned Quentin Haley and Justin Haley in close proximity there. They're actually facing each other in the in-season tournament, the two brothers. So teammates, brothers, and competing directly against each other to move on.
Oh, Henry Guo gives Cam Arrow a little bit of a nudge down the backstretch. You have DAF Racing all on a line right here with Rowe, Guo, and Williams. Try not to say that 5 times fast. But your guys seem to be having a little bit of speed as Rowe clears Cam Arrow, the 17 and 47 slip back. And look at Zachary Potts trying to take the lead back, and he does, from Garrett Lamar.
Yeah, and judging by the fact that he's, able to take the lead back here, and the fact that Reed Simpson is still battling for third, I think we have our answer on the tire situation. If it is a short enough run, you can hold on old tires.
Here goes Lamar back to the lead, trying to, on the underneath, of Ponce lifts to try and avoid the bump, and Ponce is going to lead lap 16 of 50. Here comes Reed Simpson into second place now. Dominic, this bump is gnarly. You see a lot of people just losing ground. I think they're bottoming out when they hit it, and that's really upsetting the car.
Yeah, I do. I remember that from last season. It definitely played a role in the battle for the win, and that's something that you're gonna have to watch as we get down to the closing stages here. It's kind of a disadvantage to be on the bottom in turns 3 and 4 because of that.
Absolutely. One of the very few times where being on the bottom is a disadvantage, but Reed Simpson using his top lane abilities to try and get to the back bumper of Ponce as we're still 3 wide back here. This appears to be for now. I would have to say this blanket has cars from 11th to 17th or 18th.
As we see Riley Gorse, who I talked about earlier, as well as Kyle Maybe, who I also mentioned earlier, kind of slipping back into this, closer to the mid-pack range, which is not something I expected, especially out of Riley Gorse.
Gorse has shown some speed recently, a little bit. A rookie this season. He's battling for the Rookie of the Year. We're 4 wide now with Logan Williams, Ian McDaniel, and Justin Haley. And Jeremy Mead was able to clear all of them. Gorse has shown some speed, at Charlotte. Had a few races to start the season that were not optimal on his speed wise, but both the 60, and the 97 from Bones Motorsports have really started to pick up the pace a little bit. These two drivers both battling for the Rookie of the Year, and especially Zachary Ponce, who also had a slow start to the year. I would have to imagine Ian McDaniel looking to see what improvements that they're going to have during the mid-season, but Bones Motorsports looking pretty strong, especially to kick off this in-season tournament.
Yeah, and speaking of Ian McDaniel, I'm sure he himself is looking to turn things around here because really ever since the start of last season, he's kind of been outshone at Bones Motorsports by Zachary Ponce, who obviously won the All-Star race a couple weeks ago, won at Darlington last year, and is leading this race.
The Rookie of the Year battle last year was Santiago Nicholas versus Tyler Cook for a broad majority of the season. That is an in-season tournament battle, and that's third place Santiago Nicholas, currently ahead of Tyler Cook. But lots can change. We're not even halfway yet. Here is the of Christopher Marnell. Won the last 2 points-paying races at Watkins Glen and Charlotte, currently in 31st, just really struggling with the handling of the car. Very abnormal from the 23 of Marnell. And if you're trying to think of, who could he possibly be battling, he's fighting Nathan Stapleton, who is just behind him right now, which I think if you were Marnell, you were not expecting to be sweating seeing that 71 behind you, especially in a position way back in the back of the pack.
Yeah, unless something is escaping my mind, I feel like this is probably the worst the 23 has ran all season. As you mentioned pre-race, he has a huge lead in the standings. CRT actually has the top 4 spots locked out, so definitely out of the norm for them this season, as we have Zachary Ponce coming to pit road here.
I was just about to ask you when you thought the green flag pit stop cycle would open. Makes sense that the driver that needs tires the most will come down pit road first. So that's 16. He's the first one to hit pit road, as well as Reed Simpson. And checking back at my database here, you would be right. Even including Daytona, Dominic, Chris has not ran this low all season.
Still, as you mentioned, before halfway, if there's time to go to turn that around, but not the start they were looking for sure, as we have, it looks like the vast majority of the field coming down here for green flag pit stops.
Absolutely. And this is the time I would say take 4 tires, take fuel. And I would think if we go green, even if we don't go green, you're going to need to pit one more time. But this pit stop is absolutely crucial to try and nail your marks. And if you're these guys that stayed out, I do wonder what the advantage of pitting earlier will do. I would have to imagine Jerry Chen, Kyle Maybe, Alexander Rowe, they have to be coming down this time, and they do. Probably just trying to get that clean air for one more lap around the speedway.
Yeah, I was gonna say, in a perfect world, you'd probably want to pit or when, Simpson and Ponce did and get on fresh tires fastest. But there's something to be said about pitting in a smaller group. Obviously, the lap before we had what seemed like 25 cars on pit road all at once, so you're going to be tripping over each other and you're going to lose time there. So coming in a smaller group like Rowe and Guo and all those other guys just did, that's going to be a little bit cleaner, but you are still going to lose time on old tires.
16 pitted from eighth place, and it looks like now this is just where the cycle is as for now, but it seems like they have jumped a few people so far. Lamar was able to get out pit road first, Aquarius Greenhouse Jr. second. We'll see where Chen and all of them come out of pit road. Leaders hitting the stripe now as Chen and all of them get off pit road. I have to imagine that the 13 is going to clear all of them with ease. Maybe might have a race off of pit road with Jerry Chen. We'll see. 53 still in the lead. They're going to be side by side on the backstretch.
Yeah, so that's definitely going to pay off for Jerry Chen. He's definitely higher up than he was before those stops. He's obviously not going to maintain the lead, but he's in a top 5 position here, so he can make a challenge for this win.
And he has Sean McKean right behind him, who, even though Sean McKean is a lap down, kind of playing as a pick as we're on board with Aquarius Greenhouse Jr. I think what you said is right. You saw those pit stops, not a lot of people coming down pit road is, oh, here's the 16 and Ponce. He's side by side with Greenhouse. Pitting in that smaller pack, but of still very fast cars. And it seemed like that was a lot of veterans that came down pit road. They know what they're doing. The crew chiefs knew what they were doing. And they didn't, I would say their pit stalls seemed evenly spaced out to where they weren't tripping over each other. There were 5-6 cars stacked on top of each other trying to get in and all that. Here comes Jerry Chen down the inside, 3 wide, and he's going to take second place from 4th to 2nd, goes to 53.
Yeah, we saw in real time there on that onboard how Disquarius Greenhouse got affected by the bump there, which gave Zachary Ponce a run. And then when you get side by side, you kind of slow each other up, which created an opportunity for Jerry Chen to take a 3 wide. But, as we said, that's something you're going to have to watch out for. You really have to avoid that bump because it'll ruin your day late.
Now, someone that was near the front earlier was Logan Williams. Dominic, I'm sure you don't have the headset on right now, but 17 reported they had a pretty bad pit stop. The tires were not ready along the wall, so the 17 fell back a few spots, and Jerry Chen's now fighting for this lead here, but 17, not exactly the greatest day so far, but last year's winner not having a great day.
Yeah, that's a little bit disappointing, especially, like you mentioned, last year's winner and was also fastest in practice this weekend. Had a decent qualifying position, was the highest of our 4 cars. So I thought if anyone could make a run at it, then he would, probably be the standout guy. But, still time to recover from that, but obviously an unnecessary setback.
Here's the lap car, Blake Walker holding people up by the looks of it as the 80. I don't remember if the 80 even had damage. Big wiggle out of Reed Simpson. Kyle maybe giving a little too much bumper. But the 80 of Blake Walker playing as a lapped car here, way off the pace. That's a little bit abnormal to see from the 88 camp. But that affected Jerry Chen. As you were talking, I didn't want to interrupt, but Jerry Chen was side by side with Garrett Lamar and really had to lift through turns 3 and 4 to, Jerry Chen's a very clean, polite racer. He didn't, I would imagine, especially at this point in the race, there's no point in trying to move a lap car out of the way, especially with still 50 laps to go and his teammate right behind him. That could have affected both of them.
Yeah, and I'm with you. I don't recall the 80 being involved in that crash, so it's interesting to see just how much off the pace he is. So I'm not sure what the reason for that is, but definitely it would. These guys up front probably want to see him stay out of the way a little bit better next time.
Absolutely. We're on board with Justin Haley, currently in 12th place and ahead of Quinton Haley, his in-season tournament mate. Fastest lap of the race is the 99, who did start well back in the field, so he's made a charge through the field. Still plenty of race to go for the 99, but sitting in 12th place as we speak and fastest lap of the race. A little bit of something to make note of, but you never know. Still plenty of race to go as Lamar out front with, I'd say, all 5 of these top 5 are right under a blanket here, all drafting down the back straightaway. And you can see on that onboard how bumpy that back stretch is. These cars are bouncing off the back straightaway.
Looks like Jerry's going to make a move for the lead here. And he's got another car behind him on the bottom lane there, but they're both going to get affected by that bump, which is going to give Lamar and Ponce a pretty healthy lead here.
Santiago Nicholas falling back a little bit. He was the one underneath Jerry Chen, and now the 16 is going to make a move through turn 2. They're going to be side by side down this back straightaway and side draft here.
Not able to stay alongside the 13, and Lamar's going to be in position here to probably lead this lap. We'll see if Ponce can mount a second challenge as he gets caught out by the bump as well. And that's interesting because he wasn't really alongside Garrett Lamar there. He could have been higher up on the track if he really wanted to, as we have Henry Guo coming back for a second trip down pit road here.
Very early stop, it seems like, for the 47. I'm hearing a vibration is the word over the radio for the 47 camp, but this might play into the 47's factor because you've kind of just short pitted, and if you do fill it all the way up, get 4 tires, you can make it to the end. But we'll see. Very interesting development out of the 47 camp.
Yeah, I was just going to say this is in the window to make it to the end, so this doesn't have to be a complete killer here. But what you really want to see if you're the 47 team is not have a caution come out here because that would trap you a lap down.
Jerry Chen to the lead with a big head of steam. The 16's right alongside him. We're going to have a pretty solid battle here. We've had a pretty clean race. We've had a lot of these green flag run races where the pit stops seem to kind of determine the races. As opposed to last season, we did have a lot of yellows kind of determine the way these races and these pit strategies played out. Dominic, I'm sure you can remember last year, that happened to Christopher Murnell, who did pit early and then got trapped, I think, almost a lap down from the lead, and that really just flipped the race on its head from there. How has that been as kind of sitting on the pit box, sitting in these races, watching these races, even racing in one, with the vast difference between last season, pretty caution heavy, and this year, pretty strategy heavy?
Yeah, I definitely remember that race last year very well because Richard Fridge was actually in the same boat as Marnell, having his best run of the season at the time, and ended up getting screwed by that caution. So it's nice to see races play out a little bit more naturally now. Obviously, it's a little bit more pure, and the faster cars typically are able to do better than they were last year, getting screwed over by yellows and strategy and stuff. So it's interesting. I like a mix. I would like to see some caution filled races and then some green flag races, and keep it different. But it's not the worst thing in the world.
Absolutely. And it also could just be these drivers getting a little bit more cleaner. But I think the field has a lot of respect for each other. Even with Ricardo Garcia in the field, he really hasn't ruffled some feathers since Rockingham. So maybe this in-season tournament, as the intensity builds up, maybe that'll change some things up a little bit. We'll see some drivers get into some more arguments, some more scuffles, and even see some more yellows. But we'll see. Lap 38 of 50 here at Auto Club. Been green for basically the entire race, save for the lap 2 yellow.
Yeah, we're a little bit past the 3/4 mark here, so it's getting down to crunch time at this point. If you're not in this top 5 or so, you're really gonna need to get a move on if you want to play a role in this finish.
And pit stops for sure. You're going to have to pit one more time. Dominic, if you get the notebook out, when do you think you're going to want to pit? You just want to pit as soon as possible, or are you going to try to run this thing a little bit more dry to try and see if you can get an advantage of some flavor?
I mean, honestly, if I were a crew chief, I would have wanted to come as soon as Henry Go pit a second time because he's going to be running on fresh tires this whole time. I mean, that was what, like 5 or so laps ago, maybe even a little bit longer. So he's going to be making a lot of time, and he's going to have clean air. So I would have wanted to counter that, but ideally the sooner the better.
Absolutely, as we got a big gaggle of cars here. We kind of have two separate packs playing out as Justin Haley has cracked into the top 10. So is Robbie Gordoff and Matthew Fastnot, all drivers who didn't exactly qualify amazingly well. Kaz Gralla as well. As here's Alexander Rowe, another driver. Look at him going 3 wide to the inside, the 37, way on the bottom. I think he might have actually lost time there as the 16 and 53 are side by side. 50, 37 really off the pace here and slides up into the 52 at 37 is loose as all get out.
Yeah, and I was just thinking, if you're going to be underneath someone like he was there, it's better to run that guy a little bit high and stay out of the bump and kind of protect yourself. As we see Reed Simpson coming down pit road for his final stop.
Reed Simpson coming down pit road, following him down, Ian McDaniel and Logan Williams. So we'll keep an eye on those two, or those three coming down pit road. All of them outside the top 15. So here's to see if the leaders will come down pit road. I'm hearing it called over the radio. Here comes the 16. Here comes the 13. The 37 stays out. So the top three are coming down pit road. 53.
Yeah,
All
this
these
is
guys came.
definitely when the pit crews earn their money. You do not want to have a bad stop here and cost your team a shot.
Those guys came in hot, Dominic. I'd be shocked if we don't see a pit road speeding penalty. And
yeah, I was thinking,
crowd
oh
goes to
man, this
17.
Logan gets dumped by the 16. I'm not sure what that's about, but as you were saying, they were coming in quite hot, especially Garrett Lamar. Wasn't sure he was going to make pit road there at first, as we'll have to take a look at that replay further down pit road of what happened between the 16 and the 17.
So we'll have to take a look at that. I would say post race here, as we're going to get a race off pit road. It's the 16 and 53. The 13 had a really bad stop, and the 31 took 2 tires. Very intriguing here. The top 3, 4, 5 cars have all shaken up, but Desquarius Greenhouse Jr. out of that group leads them off pit road. The 4 of Reed Simpson, who pitted earlier, he's not going to come close, but he has definitely advanced some positions. And the 17 of Logan Williams has come down pit road once again for extended repairs. Here comes the other batch of drivers off of pit road. And we're getting word that we have 2 speeding penalties. The 53 of Jerry Chen and the 33 of Robbie Gordoff.
Wow, those would not have been the 2 names that I would have picked if I had to guess who was going to get a speeding penalty, but that is a day ender for those guys. Robbie Gordoff wasn't really in contention to begin with, but Jerry Chen was definitely a player in this race, so that's going to hurt a lot for him.
That's just a drive-through penalty under green. Those guys will have to go to the rear. So Kyle Mabey attained the lead out of this pit cycle. He's going to drive off the pit road. By the looks of it, it's Alexander Rowe who's going to be your leader by proxy here. The 32 is going to get passed by the 37 with ease. So your top 2, a really big shakeup. The 37 was able to take the lead, but it's the 37, the 99, and the 53, and then the 16. And Garrett Lamar has fallen back to 10th place after that slow stop.
Yeah, man, Garrett Lamar 2 weeks in a row here where he's led a majority of the race and is going to see it slip away late. So that's got to be he's got to be blowing up inside that car right now. But we have Justin Haley making a move for the lead here on Alexander Rowe, and Desquarius Greenhouse is looking to follow him through. He's not quite going to get alongside the 37, but he's going to make another run at it here.
A whole new batch of characters up front. Matthew Fastnot sitting in 4th, and as well the 83 of Santiago Nicholas. Not to rub salt in the wound here, Dominic, but Garrett Lamar has fallen outside the top 10. You know who advanced a few spots during that pit cycle? Jeremy Mead in the 97. He's currently in 8th place, and he is who Garrett Lamar is battling in this in-season tournament.
Yeah, and as we were talking about, oh wow, we have Zachary Ponce down in the grass here. I'm not sure if he has some sort of mechanical issue and is trying to stay out of the racing line, but he's going to be making a second trip to pit road here.
Looks like that's the case. The 16 with some flavor of mechanical issue.
That's a little bit of
That I
karma.
mean,
But as we were talking about Jeremy Mead passing Garrett Lamar there for the in-season tournament, we were just talking about how, Robbie Gordoff had that penalty and wasn't really in contention to begin with. Another guy who wasn't in contention to begin with is Jeremy Mead. So for Garrett Lamar to dominate this race like he has and then fall behind someone who hasn't really been, showing his face at all today, that's got to hurt.
nearly 3 wide for the lead. Rowe takes it back, but Haley's going to take the outside, takes it right back. 2 laps to go here at the stripe, and it's kind of a 5-way battle for the lead with Haley with a big gap so far, but we've seen these gaps close up. Alexander Rowe is going to be fighting like all get out to try and get back to that bumper of the 99 car. The 16. So the 2 cars that essentially dominated today, the 16 and the 13 mired back 10th or 11th place with that slow stop. The 16 has retired due to an engine failure.
And the 99 had the biggest lead we've seen all day right there. And he's going to love seeing the 48 making a move on the 37 in his mirror, because that means the 37 is not going to really be able to choose the line he wants to run him down.
99 was slow through turns 1 and 2. I think all 3 of these guys are going to have a chance through turns 3 and 4. Down the back straightaway, one final time for Justin Haley. Side by side goes Fastnot and Rowe. Rowe on the outside. He might get a big head of steam. Here comes Alexander Rowe. Justin Haley to the inside. Goes Rowe. Side by side to the stripe. Who's it going to be? It's, too close to call.
I think Justin just barely held on to that one. Kind of a flashback to Atlanta, where Alexander Rowe, running the Wendy's scheme again, just kind of came up short, making a move to the inside off the final corner.
Six thousandths of a second at the line for Justin Haley, defeating Alexander Rowe. Man, what a finish.
First career LIMECAR win for Justin Haley. Surprisingly, he hasn't got one yet.
Absolutely. The sophomore driver of the 99 for Dark Horse Racing takes it home, wins the race, and wins his in-season tournament battle against his brother. For someone that we didn't think would be up front, especially with his qualifying position, Justin Haley is able to get it done. Drive of the season for the 99, I would say. Same with Alexander Rowe. He started decently far back. Same. Look at Kaz Gralla in 7th after starting in row 18. So very strong performances throughout the field for drivers that started near the back. Christopher Murnell down in 21st was able to work his way back through, and Garrett Lamar finishes 12th. Jeremy Mead finishes 9th. That's just heartbreak. 2nd week in a row for Garrett Lamar.
Yeah, and Henrik Woe must have had some sort of issue where that extended his final stop there, because he's going to end up 37th as the last car on the lead lap.
Finishing behind Jerry Chen and Robbie Gordoff, who had their pit road penalties. So through the field.
Yeah, speaking of heartbreakers, talking about Garrett Lamar, Jerry Chen in the same boat. To finish 35th after a strong run like that is really unfortunate.
And that's going to affect a lot of these in-season tournament battles. So let's look at the bracket from the top half. So Marnell is able to advance over Stapleton. Strokey Banger versus Fastnot. Fastnot takes it. Rowe takes it over Desquarius. Santiago Nicholas wins the Rookie of the Year battle. Justin obviously takes it. Viscani over Giffen. Anthony Foss over Logan Williams after Logan Williams gets dumped on pit road, and then Mead over Lamar. Wow, that's such a big upset for Mead. Great run for that Bones Motorsports car, but I bet that 13 camp is just heartbroken. Gibbons advances. Simpson, Yuko, Harrison, maybe Guthrie, Gralla, McDaniel are your drivers who advance. And we'll take a look at the bracket for next week, the round of 16. Got a fair amount of upsets, fair amount of people, a lot of upset versus upset people in the bracket. Dominic, first glance here, who are you looking at for this next week?
Yeah, as you mentioned, there's a lot of big numbers on there in terms of the seeding. So lots of upsets so far. I mean, if we're looking for that trend to continue, I would say that guys capable of it would be, Justin Haley, who obviously just won a race. He could do that again. Reed Simpson showed a lot of speed today. There's a lot of guys. I mean, I feel like pretty much all of these matchups could go either way. But you got to be looking at Marnell as the favorite with how he's been running this season. Today was an exception, but I'm sure he's going to return to form eventually.
And racing at Iowa, you have to say that you saw last year at Bristol, that was a Michael Guthrie, a Chase Gibbons, a Justin Haley. All those guys ran up front. Matthew Fastnot ran up front at Bristol last year. Iowa, a little bit different, but definitely could be something that we could see some shakeup in the order. And again, that could be somewhere for Garrett Lamar, who last year at Iowa ran really well and lost to, that was Hunter Collier at the stripe. So,
Man, it's becoming kind of a theme with this Garrett Lamar guy. Man.
Who would have thought? And to think, season 2, 3 wins on road courses, kind of silent everywhere else. Now is seeing the flip side of that coin, where he's winning or up front at these all these different tracks, but just can't get it done. Everybody at CRT except for Christopher Marnell has been sitting in that perpetual, I would say, cuck chair of close to winning, but not quite there. As even you say, look at Robbie Gordoff, who had three races he could have won and wasn't able to get it done. But Marnell, with arguably his 2 best races, were his 2 wins.
Yeah, but both races, as you mentioned, right, he kind of stole it from his teammate, Robbie Gordoff at Watkins Glen and Garrett Lamar at Charlotte. So not everyone at the team can have success at the same time, but I'm sure they're wishing that those good runs would have been spread out a little bit more, and Robbie and Garrett could have taken advantage of them when they had them. But they seem to have a lot of speed this year, so I'm sure they're still feeling good.
So Dominic, we said we'd look at it. Let's take a look at that incident on pit road that affected the 17 and the 16 of Zachary Potts. Here they are.
Yeah, you got Logan leaving his box, kind of maintaining his line there, and the 16 coming into his box, looking like he's going to maintain his line. And then I don't know if he was going to miss his box or what, but he just kind of made a hard left there into Logan's quarter panel, which obviously, eliminated any shot for Logan to win. So that's a shame to fall to something like that. And obviously had the mechanical failure on the 47 and then the 37 coming up just a couple inches short. So not the best day for us at DAF Racing, but we'll try to rebound and be back next week at Iowa.
Absolutely. Well, you heard it from the team owner himself, and I'm sure the 16 and 17 will play it out on the speedway themselves. Close look at the point standings here as Marnell, Lamar up front, Alexander Rowe slowly but surely creeping into the points conversation. A whole lot of veterans up front, but we do have some sophomores coming in. Riley Gorse as well, sitting in 15th place. Very sneaky, solid, and quiet for the 60 driver.
Yeah, I'm looking at guys like Alexander Rowe, Kyle Maybe, who have got up there to that top 4 and broken the CRT stranglehold. It'll be interesting to see if CRT can maintain their dominance, but they're starting to get some challenges from other teams here.
Well, Dominic, thank you for being in the booth here today. It was a pleasure as always, and it's a great race. Glad to have you back in the booth. It's been too long.
Yeah, hopefully the wait isn't as long next time, and I'll be back here soon for another race. And I definitely enjoyed today, and we'll go on to Iowa.
Absolutely. From all of us in the booth, we say so long and good night and meow.